Before I get into the analysis aspect of this data and these calculations, I really want to talk about goals. So, when you meet with a client, maybe for the first time, and you're running a new campaign, they'll always have specific goals that you'll need to hit and work towards. And that's how you optimize these campaigns to perform better each month or each year. So a lot of the time they'll give you goals around cost per click and say, I don't want to spend more than $2 per click. They'll give you goals around click-through rate. They'll want you to be more relevant, so they'll want you to keep your click-through rate, for example, above 1.25%. They'll certainly have goals around conversion types. They want you to hit like a certain rate, right? They want you to say engagement should be more than 10%, downloads more than 2%, so on and so forth. And they'll absolutely have goals around ROAS because they want to have a good return on their investment. So they always want to be above 1, but likely above $1.50 as well. So now that you know what goals could be like and what you have to work towards in terms of optimization, they're going to ask you a lot of questions around analysis. And specifically, they're going to ask you how things performed year over year or month over month. And what that means is, how did December 2019 perform versus November 2019? Or how did December 2019 perform versus the previous year's December? So that is a calculation. That's a calculation that we use in the industry quite a bit to evaluate and analyze performance. So if I am going to see how December performed in terms of clicks versus November, I take December's clicks minus November's clicks, close the parentheses, and divide that again by November's clicks. So that tells me that, and I'll put it in a percentage, that 16.67% you have increased clicks over month. Right? So December is performing better simply in terms of clicks. You've gotten more clicks. That doesn't take into account all the other metrics. So we know clicks have performed better, but they might say things to you like, oh, why was the cost per click higher in December over November? Now, it's just 4 cents. It's not a lot, but you've spent a bit more per click than you did in November. And sometimes clients are concerned about those pennies because they add up over each month. And when you're spending thousands and millions of dollars, it could be quite costly. They might ask, why did we have more conversions or a higher conversion rate or a lower conversion rate month over month? And a lot of the time, it depends on the searcher itself, and it depends on what the website is. But these are things that you might have to try and explain based on how much you've spent and based on the ad copy. And same for ROAS. They might ask, why did we decrease in ROAS month over month? Because you could see a 10-cent decrease. And that depends on how much you've spent, how many people have come to the site, and how many conversions. So I'm going to run through a quick example of how I might analyze this data with a client. I might say, all right, cost per click definitely increased a couple cents. It's not a lot, but it did increase. And, we did get, as you can see here, month over month, there are more, a higher download rate, a higher order rate, and you could see that by the numbers. And I'll even do the calculation too. So we had downloads in December minus November divided by November. We had we had more downloads, 7% increase in downloads over the previous month, and we also had an increase of 14.29% in orders. So we had big increase month over month in some of our mid-level and lower funnel conversions. So that's good news. We could obviously see that engagements were reduced, negative 3.5% month over month. So in terms of our hitting our orders and our download goals, we're increasing month over month, so that's good, but we're paying a little bit more month over month for it. We've gotten more revenue, but the ROAS has decreased. I'll do that same calculation here for ROAS divided by November. So just slightly decreased in ROAS by 6.25%. So what I might suggest to the client is that in December, potentially of next year, we spend a little less on each keyword. So our bids that we had set, we reduce them a little bit. We spend a little less on each keyword, and that will help in the overall cost per conversion, because we'll be spending less to hopefully get the same number of conversions, and that will help the ROAS. I might also suggest that since we had a really good November, we can try and spend a little bit more in November, increase our bids since we had a good conversion rate and a good ROAS. The conversion rates weren't as good as December, but our ROAS was better, so maybe we spend a little bit more and try and get a few more conversions. Now, these are all just recommendations and they're hypothetical because we don't know exactly what will happen. We don't know if somebody will convert. We don't know if performance will increase or decrease, but these are just simple educated guesses.